Mary Taylor, who's the Executive Director of Leadership Montgomery. C. Mary has devoted her life to service. She's worked in many nonprofits in Montgomery County, being the Community Foundation, Interfaith Works, Food and Friends. And after this long history of community service, now she's been leading Leadership Montgomery for how long?
4 years.
4 years. And in the course of last year, we started the racial equity workshops. And today we want to talk about how she's taking this work to the next level. So we want to start asking you why the need to advance racial equity in Montgomery County.
Well, Monica, first of all, thank you for having me and recording us today. I'm really excited to talk about this important topic. So, advancing racial equity is a matter of social justice, and it's actually a big strategy for economic growth here in Montgomery County that not everybody thinks about. We know that the economy is constrained by declining workforce and skills gap, and part of that needs to be addressed through race equity. And if we want people to reach their full economic and creative potential, we have to make sure that the skills and the workforce is equal.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with equity.
Mm-hmm. So the population is aging as well, right?
That's true. So that's another big barrier that or issue that you want to think about. So we know Montgomery County is more than 50% people of color, and we know that the labor for workforce has declined. So right now we have 3 people for every job. Soon we'll only have 2 people for every job. And if you think about the 2 people, one of them is going to be a person of color. And so if we don't think about the work through race equity lens, one of the 2 people you have left to work for you is not going to be included. And that brings you down to an issue of dollars and cents.
Right. Um, Also, people are going to be able to live and work in the same county. Is that part of this work, part of the impact that it's foreseen for this work?
It is, because when you think about racial equity, you also want to think about the multiple upsides to it, right? And so one of the upsides is a thriving Montgomery County, which it means a thriving tax base. So you have people who are working here and who are living here. And so if you reframe how we do business practices here, you're going to have more people staying here. And you'll have a workforce that's equipped to work and have the needed skills. You'll have a company diversity that will have different perspectives and lend you to broader markets. And finally, you're going to have more earnings for people to actually live and work here.
Because what we see at Montgomery Hospice, and now Montgomery Hospice and Prince George's Hospice, is that there's diversity in healthcare at the service level. But when you look at companies at the senior management level, there's not that much diversity. Is that one of the intended consequences to help companies become more diverse and inclusive up to the top?
Yes. So that's a great example. When you think about someone like Montgomery Hospice, you have to think about the population that you're serving, and then you have to look at your leadership. And does it match? And are there shared experiences that are helping to lend to support the families that you're serving? And if there's not, how do you unpack that and deal with it, right? And so that's the whole point of the race equity program is unpack those things and figure out through a race equity lens, how can I care for this patient better? How can I serve them better at the school system? How can I build more affordable housing so that people can grow and thrive here?
Mm-hmm. I really can't think of more important work to do. There's also impact at the education level, right?
Yeah, so there's 3 big barriers, and education is one of them, right? And so there's an urgency to race equity work, and it starts with education. So people say education is the key. Well, what about the equity in education? So if you have concentrated schools with concentrated poverty within schools, there's an equity issue there. And so those kids aren't going to be able to join the workforce. They're not going to be able to give back to Montgomery County, right? Then you think about the housing and health, right? And so in housing, we know study after study says when you have concentrated poverty in the housing area, people don't grow and thrive and they don't meet their full potential, so they can't give back to their work community. That also correlates to their health. So they call out sick more. They're not able to do all of the work that they can. And there have been studies that show the billions of dollars we're losing because of untapped potential productivity. So it's a threefold issue that you have to think through that ties back to race equity, thus the whole part of the program. And we talk about all three of those areas in the program.
Um, so I sort of intuitively know the answer to this question, but I want you to tell the audience that will be listening to this workshop, why did Leadership Montgomery engage in this very important racial equity work?
So I'm so glad you asked that question because I get it a million times. Like, you're supposed to run leadership programs. This is a leadership program as well. So our mission is to educate, inspire, connect, and convene leaders to advance Montgomery County. And part of that includes race equity, correct? So we know that we're the trainers of tomorrow's leaders. We know that we have all three areas. We have education, we have the government, we have business at the intersection. And so we have to drive that conversation. And we know that part of our role here is to lead industry change through our leadership and action of initiatives, and that's where this program falls.
And as a graduate of Leadership Montgomery Class 2009, the best class ever, I feel really lucky to have taken the two-day workshop on racial equity, and that my company is thinking about sending a group to the Real Inclusion program that includes our CEO. So I'm listening to you and getting excited about the program. So how is Leadership Montgomery involving community key stakeholders?
So I'm so glad you talked about the race equity workshops because that's part of where this evolution started, right? And actually, if you want to go back a few years, it started in 2016 where we had a huge town hall on policing in a post-Ferguson world. And we had more than 300 people come out in a snowstorm because they wanted to talk about race and race relations here in Montgomery County, right? And then fast forward to 2018, where we started doing the two-day race equity workshops. And in that workshop, we're helping folks like Montgomery Hospice, Adventist Healthcare, MedStar, folks at Montgomery County Public Schools start to talk about race equity, institutional racism, privilege, and what does that mean for you as a leader, as an individual, and as a company, and how do you even start to unpack that? And so you take that piece, right, and then people are like, well, I want to do more. How do I put this leadership in action, which is part of our mission, right? And that's where we developed this whole 8-month program called Real Inclusion. Mm-hmm. And so we're engaging all of our stakeholders in this new 8-month program where you can unpack all of these issues.
Mm-hmm. So the Real Inclusion program, tell us a little bit more about what it includes.
So we're really excited about it. It is an opportunity for teams to come together once a month for 8 months and have a safe space to normalize conversations around race and race equity, to give companies a common language to start to work from. It gives you the opportunity to drive change. It will help you redesign your company's policies, procedures, programs, hiring practices through a race equity lens. And finally, it's going to help companies unpack what role they had or have in race inequity here in the county, right? And so that's the thing we're most proud of. And finally, tying this back to a business lens. If you think about taking the time and the money to invest in this, it's going to feed your bottom line because you're going to come out a transformed organization after the program.
I am so excited just listening to you. And I'm also very excited to share with the audience that the CEO of Montgomery Hospice, who's also a graduate from the program, Ann Mitchell, has enrolled two of the senior leadership members in the program. And I hope others who are listening to this webinar are going to think about doing that. So when does the program start?
So the program starts October 3rd, which is pretty soon, and goes through May of 2020. And over the course of those 8 months, it's going to give companies and these teams within the companies the chance to talk about what's an effective vision for equity. How do we even get to this place? What does it mean for me as a leader? And what should my organization do, right? So the fact that you have the CEO of Montgomery Hospice taking the time to ask these questions is transformative. And you all are going to be able to lead industry change, right? And so we have folks like you who we're super excited about in the program. We have Adventist Healthcare that's signed on, and we're trying to get some of the for-profit companies here to sign on. And I hope by the time they hear this talk, they'll be so moved and driven by the opportunity to drive change that they'll sign up immediately.
I hope that too. So it's an 8-month program. When is the deadline to apply?
So the deadline to apply is September 20th, and it's key that folks sign up now. We're going to be on the campus of Montgomery College. The program is through their workforce education, and we're looking for teams of 3 to 5 to sign up for the program.
Well, I'm very, very excited, and I hope all the graduates from Leadership Montgomery over the years are considering this possibility. And I know many of them have taken the 2-day workshop. So for all of those who've taken the 2-day workshop, you already know the quality of this program, which is remarkable from my point of view. So we invite everyone to sign up. And we're going to send a copy of the curriculum, which
is fantastic. We have facilitators from around the country that are going to come in and lead these workshops. And so we are really proud of this work. And we know that some of the benefits that are going to happen after this is that companies are going to have the opportunity to drive industry change. They're going to have better work environments and cultures. They're going to reduce some of their skills gaps in the workplace. And they're going to gain some new perspectives that they wouldn't have.
And on the screen, I'm showing a little bit of the course description and the learning objectives, and a little bit of the curriculum, which is going to be on a link attached to this webinar. And you have the content of day 1, and I'm showing the second day.
Yeah, it gives you some insight into some of the big issues that we're talking about over the course of the 9 months. And we have some great folks like Westats doing the evaluation for the program. So this is a solid leadership program that we're really, really proud of.
So there will be an impact evaluation.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
So Montgomery Hospice can talk about the change that you created because of your participation.
Yes, we will. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time today. We hope that graduates will sign up soon.
Me too. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.